Hi, everybody. Welcome to Charlie's Garage. I recently posted a video that talked about oil coolers. And one of the comments I got on the oil cooler video was someone who asked me about how the troubleshooting procedure is when you do discover that your coolant and oil is mixing, and how do you know when to check the oil cooler, and how do you know if you're supposed to check stuff before that. And the answer is that it's not always super cut and dry. um, Generally, oil coolers are the more common reason, but it could also be head gaskets and all kinds of other things, sleeves and issues that can cause coolant to get in the oil and vice versa. So, just to kind of give people a linear progression of what to look for if they do discover a mixture of coolant and oil, I'm just going to use this service manual right here, which was for a Cummins QSL ISL that I pulled up on QuickServe. Now, this is going to be kind of the generic stuff for almost every engine. So kind of follow along if you can, but also keep in mind that there might be differences. You might be working on an engine that has a parent bore. So if we come across stuff that talks about the sleeve O-rings leaking, then that wouldn't apply to your engine. If it talks about air compressors in this troubleshooting chart, then and you don't have an air compressor, then obviously that doesn't apply to your engine. But so what I did is I opened up the QSL service manual, and I went to the troubleshooting symptoms part of that service manual. And if we go to that page right now and we scroll down here to coolant loss internal, we're going to click on that. And so then what it has is a list of different things to check in order to check it, right? So if we look up here at the top, we're starting with the simple stuff, things that are easy to check, things that could be maybe not the most likely, but they're quick to check and quick to eliminate as a suspect. So right up here at the top, it talks about the radiator cap is not correct, is malfunctioning, or has a low pressure rating. Uh, the next one, if the radiator cap tests well, which you would just pressure test it and test it, is the EGR cooler is leaking coolant, and you check the EGR cooler for leaks. Maybe I'll do a video about how to do that later, but it's very similar to how you would pressure test an oil cooler. You would put a test kit on it, put air in it, and then look for leak down of air pressure, or put it in water and look for bubbles. Uh, the next step it has in the troubleshooting tree here is the air compressor cylinder head is cracked or has a leaking gasket. So here it's talking about going to the air compressor. And like I said earlier, if your engine doesn't have an air compressor, this will not apply to you. Uh, then if that's okay, it says lubricating oil is contaminated with coolant. It says, I don't understand why that's on there, because that's the whole reason we're in here. Um, Refer to the coolant in the lubricating oil symptom. So first thing I looked at was coolant loss internal, but apparently you have to specify in this troubleshooting chart. So see, we worked our way through this chart, and now we found out that coolant in the lubricating oil has its own symptom over here on the left-hand side that we can go to. So now we're going to come back over here, and we're going to scroll down, and we see that coolant in the lubricating oil. So we're going to click on that. Then it takes us back to another troubleshooting start. So the very first thing it tells you to check is the EGR cooler core, right? So we just talked about that. If that's okay, then the next thing you're going to check is the oil cooler, which is what I made the video about. Take the oil cooler off, pressure test it, see if that's the reason for the leak. The next thing, air compressor, cylinder head is cracked or has a leaking gasket, and it goes through the procedure on how to test the air compressor, right? So I understand that some of you that are watching may not have access to service manuals like the one I'm showing you guys. You may not have access to the test plates and stuff that would help you do these tests. So everything I'm telling you may not be extremely helpful depending on your circumstances, but to be a really good diesel technician, you need to have the tools and the training and the access to this information. If you don't have it, then you're just going to have a really difficult time tracking some of this stuff down and doing some of these tests. So if you don't have this stuff, if you need more specific information, if you need part numbers for test kits or something like that, just leave something in the comments and I'll do my best to help you out. Then it says to look for internal coolant leaks. Internal coolant leaks, cylinder head gasket, cylinder head, cylinder block is cracked. That could be your O-rings at the bottom of your sleeves are leaking coolant into the oil pan. All of those could be issues, right? The good news is that if you're looking at this chart with me right here, each one of these things where it wants you to do the test to eliminate it as a suspect has on there the procedure for doing the test itself. If you don't have access to Cummins Quick Serve or whatever engine manuals you might need, like I said, it's going to make your job more difficult. But generally speaking, if you have access to uh, the DTNA website for Detroit's and Cummins Quick Serve for Cummins or Navistar on Command for internationals, you're going to find something similar to this in all those service manuals. Um, if you're working on automotive diesels, you might even be able to find it in automotive type applications that I'm not as familiar with. But this is really how it goes. So again, this is your screenshot right here. This is what you would want to look for: EGR coolers, oil coolers, air compressors, internal leaks like O-rings in the sleeve, stuff like that. So I can't be more specific. I can't really do much more for you guys than this, but I hope that helps a little bit to kind of explain how the process would work if you had cross-contaminated oil and coolant. And as always, I really do appreciate you guys watching. Thank you. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and have a good one.